Hi, it's Jamie with Jamie's Arts a la Cartes. I have another quick and easy project for us this week. We're going to make some water bottles and a couple travel mugs. I'm going to put some holiday verbiage, and we're going to do a vertical design on these as opposed to horizontal, so that'll be a little different. I think this will be a fun one, and we'll get a lot of bang for our buck, time and money wise. All right, we got a lot to do. Let's get to it. All right, so back from the computer, and just a little bit of an update. This easy project turned into one doozy of a project. I don't know if you can see that. I took a close-up photo for you. I am using Orcal vinyl on this, and it's a 651, which should be like the ideal vinyl to use on these water bottles as well as the travel mugs, but it just didn't want to cut for me. It just didn't. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it just gave me a fit. I mean, so I had everything cut out, and I lost some words. I lost detail in my designs. Like I lost the and two. So the smaller bits of this one turned out okay, but like the smaller bits, let it snow, and then that was the bottom piece, and it says somewhere else. It just didn't happen. And then on this one, to try to weed out this hat, that'll make you say bad words. Not really. Well, yeah, kind of really, but it was pretty tough weeding this. So, and then like the snowflakes on this one, oh my word. So what I did is I recut everything. I stuck to using the Orcal. Again, it's a 651. So I recut everything, and believe it or not, I still had issues. So this hat came out much better, and we'll see it on the water bottle, and I think it's going to look just fine, and it's supposed to stick really well, which is why I went with the Orcal 651. I literally had to steal that from the other one because I couldn't save it on this one. Something like this turned out fine. The snowflakes again were an issue for me. But I'm going to weed. I've got one last one to weed. I wanted to weed it in front of you just to show you. It's not that it's horrible. And kind of what I do with it. And it's one of these Be Merry. So basically, when you're going to weed any kind of vinyl, you're going to find one side, one edge, go through, and if you turn it on its side, these little pieces of the letter that want to get stuck will come loose. So I'll show you. It's the font. It depends on the font that's used in your design. And of course, I bought these on Etsy. Very inexpensive. They were good designs, and they didn't cost a lot. And to try to get this to where I can use it again was an issue. You know, I like to do that. If you've watched any of my videos, I try to get as much bang for my buck as I can. And I'm just finding I'm struggling with using the Oracal for some reason. I use just plain old contact paper as a transfer tape. We're going to finish weeding this. And I could use a tool. I've got my tools. So either this one or the tweezers, they come in real handy because they are this cross tweezers. So it's almost like having that extra hand that you need sometimes. So those are pretty big, they're easy, but when you get into this is pretty delicate in that that's a very fine line there. So what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll gingerly try to pull this up. And then, believe it or not, it has a little tiny triangle right there that I want to save. And then to save this for the next project, I will simply peel the clear piece from the front from the backing on this contact paper. And I always say this is the hardest part, and it is when you're using scissor vinyl. And I'm getting toward the center of that roll, so it does get even a little more persnickety. But you just work it. Just peeling it apart, finessing it apart. And there's that. And basically we'll just lay it on the front of the design. And then put the backing back on there. And then I'll trim it. I'm not going to save this one. I'm kind of over the Oracle thing right now. But let's see if we can salvage this and still come up with a nice gift to give to folks. So basically, we have all of our designs cut out and the weeding process done. So then the next thing we'll do is we'll go get our supplies to clean our bottles, which is basically just a cloth and some rubbing alcohol. Since we have so many, I'm going to basically just clean as I go, just do a couple at a time. And it's real simple, nothing dramatic or hard, just going to wipe them down. I'm going to do both sides. These water bottles are easy to get. They're BPA free. We'll go ahead and clean 4, that way it's dry. Okay, now that we have them all cleaned up, I'm going to try to give myself a little bit of workspace here. And we're going to put red on the black. And so what I'll do is I'm going to just use some tools. Actually, let's use something that will, that's got a pretty sharp point on it. So, and I'm lining my lid up with my line to try to help me get it as straight as possible. So to use this contact paper, you'll remove the back, really super easy. Use your tool, come in here, make sure that's pushed down well, and then basically try to gingerly remove that backing. Okay, so that worked really well. And then we're just going to place this on the bottle. From the center out is usually the best way to go. And I will burnish it with my fingernail. There are burnishing tools, but in this particular case, I don't want to scratch my water bottle. And on this is like a Roman font. It's got that little kick out from each of the letters, so I'm making sure I'm getting each of those little pieces. Of course, we're putting a 2D object on a 2D cutout on a 3D object, so sometimes you got to work with that little curve right there. And all I did was let the vinyl lay down, and then if there's a little buckle in this, it doesn't really matter. Okay, there's the first one, and I want to be gentle with these thinner pieces of the vinyl. No issue so far. Contact paper's working well. The vinyl is sticking good to the water bottle. Of course, I'll make a note that says hand wash only, please, which will help it to last even longer. And there's our first one. Looks pretty good. Alright, so here's our finished products. I believe they look good. I like the way they look. This was supposed to have been an easy peasy project. Not so much. Things that I learned from this project, the Oracle. I don't know that I would say I would never try it again, but what happened is I bought several sheets in this 12 by 12 format, and it's the Oracle 651, which is what you're supposed to work well for this sort of application, for durability. But it didn't want to cut properly. So I tried increasing the size of the overall decal. That didn't help. I changed out the blade. That didn't work. So is there such a thing as vinyl becoming old? You know, I would say that would have to do with the sticky part, but not so much the cutting part. I mean, I picked the right setting on my maker. So I'm just not quite sure why that worked like that. They seem to stick fine. We'll find out. These will be gifts that I give away. And so I'll be able to find out how long the product lasts on the different, like whether it's the travel mug or the water bottle. So, just not sure about Oracle. It was I'd used it in the past, but not the 651 and not from this particular vendor. I bought several sheets of it, so I'll use it, even if it's just in card making or something like that. But other than it giving me a fit, they look well. I probably would work towards trying to make them more uniform in their alignment. I kind of like always from the bottom up, you know, a certain amount, you know, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then the top would be however long that design was. So there's some considerations there. Either that or just simply they're kind of just centered in the flat part of the bottle, because on these particular bottles they have a, you know, they go in here at the top. So I think they look good where I place them at. This is one we did an experiment and I put more than one decal on there. So that'll be for two very special recipients on my list. I think they will like them. But overall, it just kind of made them kind of festive. There are certain combinations that work really well. This black and red. And then the red on the silver travel mugs works really well. So, anyways, learned a lot about Oracle vinyl this week. Was a little shocked at some of the results, and we'll take that into consideration when I do my next project with it. But while it wasn't easy peasy, I did accomplish it, and an acceptable outcome. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. You can push the little notification there at the bottom right, and you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Give it a thumbs up. That helps YouTube to know that you like this sort of content. And until next time, happy crafting.